Hi everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, I'm outside today. The sky is grey, but at least it's dry. There's no rain. Well, this week's lesson, as you've probably seen by now, is all about Indigenous languages in the UK. Now, Indigenous simply means the original languages, the ones which were here before English. And many people are quite surprised to find that we have quite a number of those. Now, as you know, I've lived in London for a number of years, and even there, people were really shocked and surprised to discover that the language of Gaelic, which is from Scotland, is thriving. And we also have another one in Wales, which is Welsh, which is very, very popular. And they all have their own media. Now, one very interesting thing I discovered the other day was when I was looking at the BBC Scotland Gaelic page, because it's not available outside of the UK, it's only available in the UK. So if you go to the BBC News website, you won't see an option to click for the Gaelic news because it's something internal, and I was quite shocked by that. Anyway, thinking about Indigenous languages, they are very popular here, and as well as Welsh, Scottish Gaelic, there is a minor one in Northern Ireland, which is called Northern Irish Gaelic. And then there's also one in the Isle of Man, which is called Manx. The Isle of Man is a small island, which is between Britain and Ireland. As well as that, there's others also, which you probably don't know about. And in fact, many people here don't even know about them. There's one somewhere around Newcastle and another in the southwest of England. Now, those ones that I've just mentioned are really very, very minor. I mean, we're talking maybe only a handful of people are still speaking those. But Gaelic, Welsh and Irish are really, really popular. Northern Irish Gaelic would be the same as Irish or Irish Gaelic. It's the same thing. But with differences in dialects. Gaelic is one of these languages which is a cousin of all of the other Celtic languages. So it's really very, very interesting when you begin to look at them. But studying them is very hard because they all have different dialects in different areas where they're spoken. And they've tried to create like a standard Gaelic, but it's very difficult. And it's the same in English, of course, you know. If you're learning English, then it's the very same thing. You find that you spend your time studying standard English, then the next thing you know, you are actually not being understood when you arrive at the airport because you're not accustomed to dialect, slang, or anything like that. And that's quite difficult for everyone, I think. So my advice is always the same when you're learning, and that is try to take one area, one city, like you could say Glasgow, for example, or London, and just make it your own. Try to make it yours. And what I mean by that is focus in on the media you hear there, the idioms, Google slang words from that area, and I think you'll find that you'll be much more successful than trying to go around the whole world every day listening to different things, you know. But getting back to Indigenous languages here, it's very, very interesting. There's Gaelic in Scotland. Now, I want to tell you just a little bit more about that because it's enjoying a huge revival. The government have ensured that it's an official language of the country, and they've started to change some street names and they've ordered some companies to make sure that all of their signs are displayed in Gaelic as well as English. So if you see the police in Scotland, it'll say police, and then underneath it'll have the same name written in Gaelic, which I think is either Polis or Polias. I'm not sure how to say it. And then there's also the same for the ambulance, the emergency services. They also have everything written in Gaelic. And street names, names of railway stations, these things which are very public usually have a very strong Gaelic presence as well. And even for British people, it's a little bit strange. The rail company here in Scotland is called Rail na Alba, which just means Railway of Scotland. And I got a letter in the other day from one of the Scottish government departments which had a Gaelic name. So it seems to be going Gaelic, but the number of people speaking it really isn't that many. And it's going through a great revival, but I think they have a long way to go to try to really make it so popular. I can tell you that my great grandparents spoke Gaelic, so it's very interesting. People who speak Gaelic are called Gaels, and you may also associate this with other parts of the Celtic world. I think Galicia in Spain, they maintain some Gaelic words in Galician and some Gaelic festivals. Ireland, of course, where Gaelic is known as Gaelic, is a cousin, or perhaps we could say a brother or sister, of Gaelic in Scotland. A lot of the words are interchangeable there. And then, of course, there's Welsh, which looks completely different and is widely spoken in Wales. And that's something else which a lot of people really don't know about, although it's perhaps more famous than Gaelic is. Well, those are just a few of the indigenous languages here in the UK, and as time goes on, many areas are using these indigenous languages as tools to promote independence. For example, Gaelic is being used right now to show how different, Scotland is. It even has its own language. Many people are very suspicious of the political motives of that, especially since few people speak it. And it is very, very confusing sometimes when you see something, a name which you can't pronounce. It's a bit strange. Even for me, when I come across like a railway station name, and I think, okay, there it is in English. Oh, this is it in Gaelic. But Britain, we often do things to help people who speak other languages anyway. If you go to certain areas of London, you will see road signs and public signs written in Punjabi, as well as English. And it's not a bad thing. It's nothing to fear. It's just trying to accommodate the number of people who live here. And it's perfectly okay to do that, I think. But I know some people really, really don't like it. So that's just a short introduction to indigenous languages here in the UK. So the main players are Gaelic of Scotland, Gaelic of Northern Ireland, and of course, Irish, even though it's not directly related to Britain because Ireland has its own country. Welsh and Manx from the Isle of Man, another form of Gaelic. These are all cousins, and they're all remnants of the Celtic years. A lot of Celtic culture still exists here, and of course in Ireland as well. They tend to keep alive their Celtic culture, so it's very, very interesting. Very interesting. So there we are. Yes. A little bit of history of indigenous languages in the UK. So the next time you're in the UK and you see something which is written in a foreign language, don't jump to the conclusion that it's Polish or something else. It may well be one of our indigenous languages. And as time goes on, we have more and more respect for those languages, particularly Gaelic. If you travel north, you see lots of Gaelic signs which confuse everyone, not just non-native speakers. So very interesting. It's very interesting. And that's it from me for today. So I hope you've enjoyed this little introduction into Indigenous languages here in the UK. And we'll talk soon. See you. Bye.